All right, Ding, we're back. We've got another great episode coming up this week. We've got Waylon Frost joining us. We've got James Stonier. And hopefully Emanuel Muniz once again. Didn't work out last week, but we're going to try and get him back this week again. We keep on rolling. We get more Road to the Title 3 happening. We're getting even closer to Abu Dhabi. We didn't get any more fight announcements this week, but we're still riling on what Russell Rivera and Austin Turpin will become. Man, when is that next slate of fights going to hit us, do you think, Ding?
We're 3 weeks out, man. So there's not a whole lot of time. I think probably in the next 2 weeks or so, we'll pretty much have the majority of this card lined up. Hopefully we won't see something, like we saw last time where we had multiple fights being announced a week of the fights. Mm-hmm. But I mean, it is what it is, I guess. Power Slap's got a strategy and a plan, and they'll announce as they see fit.
Yeah. We got a little alpha here. Your boy, Ding. What do you make of that? You want to make a comment?
Yeah, I mean, we had heard rumblings and saw, that she had said multiple different times that she was fighting. Who that fight's going to be against, we don't know. There were some rumors that it would be Sheena. Sheena's, sidelined right now with an injury, so we know it's not going to be her. So for anybody who's looking forward to that fight, it's not happening. We don't know who she's fighting, and that's just straight up honest. I knew this comment would come. Paige VanZant fought in the UFC at 125. She fights in Power Slap at 135. Jackie fights at 145. So this will probably never happen because Paige will not go to 45, and Jackie's not a 35er. She's too muscular. She's too big. She'd have to kill herself to get down there. This fight will never happen because Paige has said it publicly. She does not cut any weight to step on the scale at 35. She actually has to eat. So unfortunately, if this is the fight you're thinking will take place, it will not. I would also expect that you will never see a Sheena versus Paige, as far as I would predict, again, because of the size difference. But I would love to see Jackie on the card if she is. Interested to see who she'll fight because, as you know, we don't have a ton of females in the sport just yet. So if my assumption would be just based on the names we just talked about, aside from like a Christine Womerans, if she wanted to go up and fight at 45, I don't know that makes sense, but I guess it's a possibility. All things would point to that we're going to meet new female athletes. Mm-hmm. So that's exciting.
Absolutely. I mean, as you kind of alluded to, makes the most sense, I think, across the board. We kind of heard rumblings that they've wanted to try to get multiple female fights on this card. Obviously, it might be one of the reasons why they don't announce the card so early. Fights fall through, things happen. A lot of different things. Jackie was actually just in our the live that we did on Instagram. So maybe she's watching. If she wants to drop us any insight, she definitely can. But what do we got? King of Kings versus Paige? And a couple people would watch and tune into that one.
But you know what? Speaking of pillow fights, I just want to make sure everybody knows at 8 o'clock if you're on the East Coast, 7 o'clock if you're in Central, 5 o'clock if you are on the West Coast, we'll be going live with Charles Johnson, UFC flyweight, who is hosting, co-promoting an event called Icon Battlegrounds that is to take place on November 4th, I believe. It will feature Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Well, he didn't say Brazilian, just jiu-jitsu. So I'll just be respectful. Jiu-jitsu, pillow fights, slap fights, some form of competitive strength competitions, be it arm wrestling, be it lift. I don't know what the details of that are just yet, but maybe when he's on IG Live with us at 8 o'clock, like I said, on the East Coast, 5 o'clock on the West Coast, he'll be able to give us some more details on how you can watch that, where you can buy tickets, things like that. I do know tickets are for sale. If I remember correctly, November 9th. Thank you, TJ. So I was wrong. I said November 4th, November 9th, excuse me. I know tickets are on sale. If I remember correctly, somewhere in the $45, $50 range per general admission. Exciting. And it's being that it involves a lot of the guys in the sport, it's in a state like Missouri, obviously St. Louis, where a lot of this stuff takes place, right? Slap fighting has some history in Missouri, and now we have a credentialed UFC athlete who is currently actively fighting. He actually has a fight coming up here soon, and he's promoting this event, so it's very exciting to see. And we've been hearing a lot about this Red Rocket guy coming out of Gorilla Smack. We've been told he's on this card, so we'll get to see what he's about. And you never know. If you watch these guys when they start early, you never know when you'll see them and if you'll see them in Power Slap later on in the future.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think what's really cool about this is that there's no contracts in this organization, which I think is very unique. They're like, we want to be a place where athletes can showcase their talent, not be locked in a contract, because we want them to be able to showcase their skill set to be able to go on to Power Slap and other organizations, which I think is very unique and interesting. And kind of in the chats, we see, I don't know, Casey the Gorilla, are you fighting this weekend or not? We see Chin Reaper seems to be saying that you are. I didn't see the promo if he was in it or not, but and he also had a comment there about arm wrestling at this event, and he's in. Could it actually be cool to see a guy like Casey, multiple sports, potentially compete in slap and arm wrestling the same night? Could be actually very interesting to kind of see. I mean, we talked in previous episodes about guys going multiple matches in a night, but it would be kind of cool to see something like that happen. A guy like Casey, who I hope to meet you in Vegas, and I'm going to be out there for the Olympia, the 10th till the 13th. And hopefully we'll see you there. It'd be nice to meet you. Hopefully we can have time to get a quick little interview if we can. And he seems to confirm that he will be competing. So that's all. It's great to see. Another guy staying active. I think it's cool, man. You see these guys competing in multiple sports, strength sports across the board, getting that stage time, being up there in front of audiences, being in that competitive realm. All of that is going to help whatever discipline of sport overall that takes place and happens. Ding, I got to bring you some bad news already. We're less than 10 minutes into the show, but James Stonier is unavailable to join us today. So the show must go on as normal. But unfortunately, you guys, James Stonier won't be able to catch up. We didn't get a chance to talk to him after his last match, did we? So
no, and you know what? That's kind of the subject matter that you guys can expect when we do speak to him. He's chomping at the bit to speak to the public, to the fan base. He has some qualms, from what I understand, about the way that last fight went. And, he just wants to kind of air some of those things out, bring some things to the attention of the people who support him. So I anticipate we'll see him back tomorrow. We have a pretty loaded show, if I'm being honest. So I don't know if we'll be able to make that happen, but probably I would expect something like next Tuesday or next Wednesday. We'll hear from James Stonier.
100%. So
let's see here. Let's just catch up on some questions. We are anticipating Manny joining any minute here now. Paige out of the mix. No, I would not say Paige is out of the mix to fight. I would, however, say she's not going to fight Jackie. As I mentioned earlier, again, the divisions are different.
Yeah.
Let's see really quick. Sheena looking better. High G soon ready. She did say in the TMZ interview that she would be aiming for a November return in any sport. So that obviously falls outside that October 24th window. So unless we hear otherwise from Power Slap, we expect to not see her at Power Slap number 9.
Yeah, probably put on Power Slap number 10. I would think December 6th. I think would make a lot of sense for her.
Dumplings making his way to arm wrestling. He sure is.
Yeah, I think when we talked to his trainer, one of the trainers that he had in Las Vegas prepping him for the Power Slap event, I think Dumpling's been involved in arm wrestling for the last 2 years. And so they talked about him quite in detail about what he brings there. And even seeing Zales actually just competed in in a Canadian event, in kind of a prize, for money event, I guess you want to call it professional arm wrestling, in Toronto, a couple weekends back. So great to see him also competing in arm wrestling. We're seeing some of these big monsters in the super heavy, just as yourself, Casey, as well, competing. So real great to see that crossover. And, the crossover in terms of the training and the strength, I think we're going to see more and more of that. And I think arm wrestling is a very underutilized aspect of training that some of the guys in slap fighting may not be using. But now we've got 3 top-level guys that seemingly are doing it with great success. So maybe that trend will continue, and maybe we'll see some of these guys get to some of their local arm wrestling clubs and start training. Maybe not compete, but actually even just start training and utilizing some of that strength. So.
Yeah, man. Well, look, we got a guy who's difficult to nail down, isn't somebody that we see in a ton of interviews. So we're definitely grateful that he's here. No Love, the former welterweight champion, Emanuel Muniz. What's up, my brother?
What's up, dude?
How are you?
Good. I've just been Just been living life, in my own little bubble for a little while, just enjoying things. So I've been good, man.
Yeah, you're a hard man to nail down, man. The limousine styling and profiling is tough to get you down for one of these. Um, Obviously, we're at the very tail end of Road to the Title season 3. So for you specifically, it's changed a lot in your division. We don't know how rankings are going to shake out, but at one point in time, I'll be honest with you, I felt like welterweight was kind of a sleeper division. Now that there's a guy like you, a guy like Blackburn up at the top, you have some guys that look like maybe they're promising off season 3. You may disagree with that. I'll give you a second to talk about that. But I mean, where do you think your division is at as a whole compared to? Obviously, you've been around since day one. So where do you think welterweight has gone since its inception?
I mean, welterweight's it's a strong division. There's some good competitors. I think right now my only like real issue with it is it's inactive. They've just been inactive outside of me, Chris, and Blackburn, which Chris is kind of out of the picture now. He's been beat twice. Um, there's not been a whole lot of activity. Jules been a little bit active, but outside of the top three right there. So you say me, Blackburn, and Jewel. There's no activity. I mean, Waylon hasn't fought. Provost hasn't fought. Like a lot of those guys in those markings, like those rankings, haven't really fought. So I mean, just it's a good division. There's a lot of talent, but we need to see like more activity, really.
Yeah, so I mean, regarding the guys that are fresh off of season 3, for the ones that we've seen so far that we obviously know, have a win or two depending on who they are. Is there anybody that catches your eye? What are your thoughts overall on the talent, particularly as it relates to your division in this season?
Yeah. So I got to spend some time when they were filming the show, so I got to meet a lot of these guys in person. Got to film out a little bit. I know obviously Waylon was on the show. Um, so for me, I mean, it, they look good. They look like they help fill out the division. Honestly, my only sight right now is getting back to the belt. Whoever they put in front of me, whoever it is next, or whatever it is next, whether it's a rematch or I get someone else like Jewel or someone else. Now I'm focused on getting back to the belt, so I'm worried about the people in front of me, really.
Well, technically, you sitting at the top of the mountain at number one. Obviously, you just were on the wrong side of a decision in your last fight, but it was close, man. I'll be honest. We were there, live. I'm sure you've heard this from the fan base. It was anybody's guess when they were reading off that decision who was the champion. So I know you say just out of sort of respect for the sport and also the willingness to grind back to get there that you're willing to take another person. But do you really think, based on how your last fight went, you should have to? And again, you're still sitting at number one.
Yeah, it's tough to say. I would say in a world where there was like a real true number one outside of me, or Blackburn obviously was the true number one when it was his turn. Then I would say like, oh, okay, like I could see me waiting out or having to go through someone else. But like right now, the only other option that you could even throw up there is Jewel, and not to Jewel's fault, but he's had messy fights, not on his end, but on the other end, which hasn't allowed him to really like showcase himself. So it's hard to say like, oh, Jewel's next, because he's just hasn't had impressive performances, not of his own fault, but he just hasn't been able to showcase. So there's not really like a true number one. So I am fortunate to run it back with Blackburn. I would see that making the most sense. Obviously, right now we're probably the two highest in the division, even in terms of pulling numbers and stuff. Him obviously being the champ now. Myself, I've been around in the division. I've been making numbers, so it would make sense. But I really don't care if it was someone else or it was a rematch.
And now, when it comes to this will be my final one before I turn it over to Corey. When it comes to kind of what happened on June 28th, what do you think? What do you think went wrong? What would you change? What tools are you going to refine or sharpen as you look to the future? Should you stand across from Anthony Blackburn again in your next fight?
Yeah, I mean, as everyone saw, it was a really close contested match. Blackburn's a stud too. I mean, he's got a great chin on him. On my end, it was just not my night. Like I was, obviously the match was very clean in terms of fouls and stuff, but I just wasn't able to put down my slaps the way I wanted to, and do what I wanted to. So get the opportunity again. Obviously, I got to perform. I got to, the fifth round, obviously, many would agree I had, the biggest slap of the night. I moved him. I was the only, it was the only slap that moved anyone, but I got to put that down 5 times instead of just once or twice.
Awesome, Core.
Manny, talk to me, my man. I know you were on Road to the Title season 1. You come back, Road to the Title season 3. Talk to me about the evolution of the reality show and how things have changed. Have things got more organized? Are the guys getting more, I guess, prep and tape before they get into the show now? Like, talk to me about the evolution of where we're at.
Yeah, man. I mean, so obviously, like you mentioned, I did season 1, and, going to season 1, I remember, my very first slap, dude, I was like, I don't know what the hell I don't know what the fuck I just seen it the other day, actually, and I was like, damn, what was I doing? I was just up there. All right, I guess I just slap him, cool. Called my wind up, and I did goofy little wind up. It was funny, and I ended up getting the knockout. But now you see these guys on season 3, they've been fortunate enough to see us on season 1, season 2. They've been able to see the last 8-7 power stop events. They get to talk to us on a consistent basis, and some of those guys have been able to learn from us. So you see they're coming in with techniques. They're coming in with an understanding, a little bit of an understanding. They understand how the sport goes, how to prepare for it a little bit, and how to go about it.
Yeah. Obviously they used you and Chris to kind of parlay the match that was to come. We're not getting it this time around with season 3. Like, what do you think? Like, do you think that's a smart strategic way to build the series, to kind of give, top level athletes in the sport the visibility, to get these guys that we don't know, to kind of bring them up? Or do you think it really matters or not? Do you think a guy like Rob and a guy like Austin still just, raise the stock of the show overall?
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. It would have been, I'm sure if they could have a grudge match like me and Chris every season, they would, because, it's entertaining. It's fun. When it came around to the filming of this season, I don't even think there really was like a whole lot of like designated matches that would fit the bill. So to put up, 2 characters like Rob, Rob's been an amazing part of the sport. He's a tremendous athlete. From MMA to slap, has been amazing in slap. And then Terp as well at the time, obviously this is before they had filmed before, his last competition with Vern. But to that point, he'd been amazing, just knocked out the champ of light heavyweight. So to have 2 guys like that on the show, 2 experienced guys, 2 vets, and 2 characters, I think it was a good idea.
Awesome, man. So there is some rumors swirling around a little bit that AJ Hints is actually trying to drop down again in weight, potentially to 170. Would you welcome that? And would that be a match that would interest you right off the bat?
Oh, I mean, I'm all for matches that make sense, make money. He's a big name. He started off real hot in the sport. He's obviously, had some time off and been working on himself and so on. So, of course, I'd welcome anyone down at 170. I know Wesley talked about it before this last match with Isaiah. I've heard, what's his name? I can't think. Isaiah's talked about it a few times. Both guys I've competed against. So I'd welcome everyone to 170. I'm all for the challenge.
Yeah. I mean, you did it yourself, obviously. And seeing these guys that want to do it, like, do you think, is that a reflection of the state of 170 where it's at right now? Or why do you think we're starting to see more people talk about that?
I think, well, like, for instance, the couple names I just threw out there, Wesley being a little bit heavier, but like Isaiah, I know Isaiah's not that heavy. He's probably weighs about the same as me. When I started out, I was at 185, and I walked around probably on a good day, if I ate good, I probably walked around 187. So for us to naturally come down, a little bit of health and, growing in our learning and stuff like that, but also like, these guys at 185, and you look at Isaiah, Isaiah's 185, and, me and Isaiah work out all the time. Isaiah's huge compared to me. He's fucking massive compared to me. He's a lot bigger than I am. And you're going to see a lot of these smaller guys come down to their proper weight classes. I don't cut a whole lot of weight. Like I said, Isaiah is someone who wouldn't have to cut a whole lot of weight. I know AJ was really small when he competed at 185. He probably wouldn't have to cut a lot of weight. So it makes sense for these guys to come down. It's more natural for them.
What do you think? I mean, John Davis, Isaiah. John Davis, Isaiah. How do you think that match is going to go?
Oh man, I love John Davis. John Davis is a cool guy. Obviously, I was on season 1 with him. He's an amazing person. I love John Davis, and I'm glad he's able to reach the top of the sport and reign as long as he has. But I'm Team Isaiah all the way. Like I said, I work out with him pretty regularly. I speak to him pretty regularly. I know the kind of person he is, the kind of effort he puts in, the kind of dedication he has. So I definitely see him getting it done.
Awesome, man. All right, one last one here for you. I don't think you have any beef with the guy, and you probably didn't get to talk to him too much, but I'll bring him in because he's a hard guy to get a hold of. Waylon Frost. What's up,
Oh, there
my
we go.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What's going on, man?
Waylon's probably harder to get a hold of than I am. Shit.
How you been, man?
Just good, just chilling, just living life.
Yeah, right on.
Awesome, man. 2 OGs from the early days.
Yeah, we got the season 1 OG boys in here
Season
today.
1 OGs.
100%. Both sitting there 170. Would you guys actually want to fight each other?
We talked about
Yeah.
it before.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we talked about it
Fuck
before.
yeah.
Before I had got the match with Chris, before I'd filmed the show and stuff like that, I knew Chris still had a long time before his suspension was up, because I think I had beat Cole in like June of last year or something like that. And Chris's suspension was still till like October, September. But me and Waylon had talked about pushing for a match, because I didn't want to wait. I wasn't down for wait. So that's something we've talked about before in the past.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome, man. Waylon, I'll throw this to you first. We'll get Manny's take second. But what does KO Chris do from here?
I'm not sure. I mean, I don't really. He's talked before about wanting to go up to 185. Maybe he goes up. I know he used to nationally be heavyweight. I mean, I've seen photos of him, from not too long ago. He's walked around in the 240s, and that's what he was. So I think it would be easy for him to do if he did want to go up. But I mean, yeah, he's probably going to have to at this point. I mean, I don't really. We're starting to see his chin get hit now. He was never really hit in most of his first matches. He was knocking everybody out with the first slap. So I think we see that. I don't see him climbing back up the rankings at this point.
Gotcha, Manny.
Yeah, I mean, kind of to Waylon's. I think, if he was my friend and I was offering him advice, I'd tell him to take a bunch of time off and really start taking care of his mind, his health, his brain. Realistically, he's probably going to take another match as soon as he can. And, I don't see it going well for him, but, good for him, I guess.
Yeah, well, word on the streets. I mean, street beefs. Him and Amir Nuruddin going down November 23rd. What do you think of that, and how's that going to go for him?
I mean, Chris can't fight. He can't fight at all. I know Amir has some of a wrestling background, and he's actually trained and done MMA before, so it's pretty easy to say Amir's probably going to smack him up a little bit.
Waylon, does that match actually happen?
So this is it would be 4th time is the charm if it does happen this time. So, I mean, I don't know. I'm not going to bank on it. That's for sure. But we'll see. I don't know. I mean, I know that Frank, he doesn't really want his guys doing too much things, at least from what I've heard. And I've spoken to Frank about it before. He told me as long as it's like a small promotion or something like that, or, he might be okay. But, I actually wanted to do an MMA match in August or in July, and then Frank, he said hold off. So,
gotcha, my man.
Manny, I have one question. Before you go, I'm going to throw it quite a bit far back. I don't think this has ever been addressed, but you did a video. I think it was at Power Slap 6 at some point with like a TikToker where you slapped I think her leg. What how did that all come together? Like what talk to us about that whole thing.
Yeah, so funny enough, because I didn't know who she was prior to meeting her. And I was at a Nitro Cross event actually, and I was chilling. There was the one in Vegas as their like season finale, and I was running around doing my thing there, and I kind of met her and her boyfriend there, and I started talking to him a little bit and got to know him a little bit, and kind of just became friends with them. So then, whenever I'm in Vegas or whenever, I come down for Power Stop, it was Power Stop 7 because I wasn't competing. I was talking with them and, we just filmed a video. And that's how it came to be. They're cool people. I hang out with them all the time. Like I said, when I'm here in Vegas, I get to see them, kick it with them. A lot of the influencers, a lot of the people I get to know in the space. So it's been a fun journey for me. It's been fun, meeting people, getting to know people. A lot of people, I guess, are huge fans of.
That's amazing, man. Thank you for that story. I appreciate it.
Awesome, Manny. We appreciate you joining us. We'll let you run, but you got a home here anytime, and look forward to seeing you back up there on stage.
Yes, sir.
All right. Take care, my man.
Later.
All right. Waylon, it's been a while, my man.
Been a
Still
minute,
alive.
Yeah, still kicking.
The fucking dingo didn't get you out there in the desert, did it? I'm talking Americana now. Are you impressed, King?
Fuck yeah, I am.
Awesome, man. Talk to us. We are anticipating. We get the promo. We get all that, and we get the letdown. Not even like Waylon got sick. It's just like Waylon's just not here anymore. Like we just kind of went off into the abyss. You're still alive in the flesh. Talk to us, my man. What happened?
So basically, yeah, James brought in a sickness into that house, and I mean, he couldn't get out of bed for a day or two, and I guess the producers had told him that you're sick, but you don't look sick enough to go to a hotel with 22 of us living in there, but yeah, so I was sleeping in the same room as him, so. Basically, I mean, a few of us got sick. I know Darius got sent to a hotel too, and I can't remember who else, but yeah,
which James Stonier or James
James Seekman.
Seekman.
I don't know if it's Seekman or Sykman, whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, so I got sick. I woke up one morning, I mean, just sick as fuck, and I couldn't stay hydrated was, the biggest thing. One day I drank like 10 of those, those Gator Lights, those new Gatorade drinks called Gator Lights. I probably had 10 with those one day and like 5 bottles of water. I pissed like one time. Just couldn't stay hydrated. So after I weighed in, I had to gain maybe 10 pounds or so to get up to weight after being sick for a couple of days. And I went to sleep that night at weigh-ins and I lost, 9 of it right back. So the doctor came and looked at me when we were pretty much going into the locker rooms. I kind of pulled out a line and he just pretty much said, we don't want to risk this. So, I mean, it was a bummer. Definitely wanted to compete. I love to compete. I felt like, yeah, it would have been a good match to come back after that DQ loss, so we'll see. Hopefully they can get me on Power Slap 10. I mean, I understand that Power Slap 9 is going to be for, most of the guys that competed on the show because it's the finale. So hopefully Power Slap 10, I can get another shot at redemption and go from there.
Yeah, because I thought I seen you post something up on social. It might have been on Facebook. I thought you talked about December.
Yeah, just planting the seeds.
Gotcha.
I'm just letting them know that I'm out here. I'm ready to go.
So nothing concrete then.
Nothing concrete at this point, no sir.
Gotcha. Anybody you're eyeing? Could a KO Chris match interest you?
I would love a rematch with KO Chris. Absolutely, that would be very nice. Now, I mean, if I knock him out, I don't really know what it does for my stock. Especially he's coming off 2 in a row, and his last one was just a couple months ago. So, I mean, I'm obviously not going to call out anybody that's ranked below me. So, I mean, a rematch with Provost, to kind of redeem myself there, or, Jewel. I think Jewel's at number 2 right now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes,
so, Jewel's number 2. Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe Jewel or Manny. I mean, I would love to go against Manny. That would be great. I think that would be the best test for me.
Yeah.
What
was the quote? You actually had a quote about Provost. That was one of my favorite quotes, but I forget exactly how it went. You kind of called him out on something. Do you remember that? I'll have to pull it up, actually. I'll have to pull it up.
Yeah,
I had you on an interview, and I got you because you never talked any smack. And then I called you. I said, hey, you got to call out Provost to make it exciting. And I still remember it to this day. You had the hat rack behind you and everything else, and it was actually quite epic. We'll have to cut that ding from a previous episode.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. That's funny, man. We haven't heard from Provost in a while, man. We see he's training. you know, he's obviously training jiu-jitsu. He drops every once in a while. He talks about Built Bars and, you know, the interest of coming back. You know, like you think is his heart there? I mean, look at your division right now. We've got Blackburn at the top, and then we've got Manny, Jewel, Chris, Provost, yourself. You know, we got that OG dogs holding down the fifth reign there. Like, what do you feel the overall state is? Because we've got some newcomers below you, but not a lot of really new faces there at this moment. Like, where do you kind of feel it all fits?
I'm sorry. Where does what
All right,
fit?
let me rephrase it then.
Yeah.
How do you feel the health of the welterweight division is
Oh, I
right
see.
now in Power Slap?
You know, to be honest with you, I mean, I would say two of the best chins are. We gonna watch this video?
No, yeah. Finish your answer. No.
Okay. I would say I think that the welterweight division is. I would say welterweight and light heavyweight are the two most competitive divisions. I don't think the stock has dropped at all in the welterweight division. I mean, I think we got, you know, two of the best chins sitting at the top of the division. I also think that we got the hardest hitters in our division. I mean, so in light heavyweight, you know, you got Vern and Russell and, you know, some of those guys who are really heavy hitters. But I mean, in welterweight, I mean, look how many knockouts and look how many matches end up in knockout in the welterweight. I mean, yeah, Chris hasn't looked so hot lately, but I mean, you know, he could definitely knock someone out at any time. I think 3 of my matches have ended in the first round. Now I was disqualified on the last one. So I mean, even some of the guys sitting down at the bottom have showed potential. They've shown power. I mean, like I think Fields has 2 knockouts. So yeah, the state of Power Slap, I'd say, you know, it's still right up there with light heavyweight. It's probably, you know, one of the best divisions.
Gotcha, my man. Ding, over to you. In this one, if Andrew Provost is watching this, what do you want to say to him, my man?
Come on, Provost! It's the Ice Culture out here, baby, live and free. Woo!
The most excitement we get out of you, my man.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just a more reserved, laid back type of dude, I guess.
I hear you, my man. Ding.
Man, that was perfect. Waylon, what's up, man? You know, obviously we don't get to see you compete on the show, but you did. I mean, you have a unique opportunity, right, to hang out with and rub elbows with some of the guys that you might compete in against in the future. Also, some of the guys who are up and comers in the other divisions. Of all the people that you were able to meet during the time, I mean, again, you know, I understand you got sick, but I saw you. I think it was when Kerr and Chief were fighting. You were on the staircase, like kind of just like laughing about it. You know, I mean, who do you think is a standout from the house, just based on what you saw internally, and then of course what we've seen on the show as it's aired?
I think James Seekman is going to be a problem for his division. I also think that Brandon Rhodes is going to be a major problem in his division. Kai Leahy. Yeah, I would say if I was going to say the guys that seem, you know, like they're really going to make their way up the rankings the quickest, I'd say it's going to be those 3. Brandon, I worked with him quite a bit. I know. I watched the first round of fights. Me and Darius and Alan and Kai Leahy, we got to sit and watch the first round of fights that they went through. And a lot of these guys, we're seeing a lot of guys hitting too far behind, you know, or just using fingertips because they really didn't know how to line up. So I was just kind of showing the guys a better way to line up, and you can see it there in Brandon's slap when he knocked out RJ. You know, he had perfect placement, you know, from that point on. So, I mean, his slap was still really well. He broke dudes. I don't remember if it was his orbital bone that he broke. I believe it was in the first round. And then he comes back and, you know, ends RJ on the first round. So I'd say he's definitely going to be a problem. And then, yeah, James and Kai Leahy.
And then obviously you're a guy that in a unique position, you having been on season 1 and also season 3. What would you say are some of the major differences across the board? It could be anything: the production, the talent, anything that you can possibly, the food. It could be anything that you can think of that was really different from your first, you know, the season 1 where it was the start of it all to now season 3.
The house maybe. You know, I mean, obviously I got sick, right? So I mean, it's going to make sense that, you know, this answer I'm going to give you, but I mean, I think I liked season one a lot more than this last one. And that may have just been because I'd gone through it before, and I was, already, kind of established in power slap. So I think even if I wouldn't have gotten sick, I still think I would have liked season one a lot more. I don't know. It just, the guys were cool and everything. I guess really the only difference was the house, but, I think for just me, myself, I was like, oh man, why did I put myself through another 2 weeks of this or whatever it was?
And another interesting question I have is when it relates to the talent from season one, particularly, and some of the guys who came right at Power Slap 1, it felt like you guys were a lot more active, and that's not necessarily because the guys of today don't want to be as active, but it just felt like back then, because it was just you guys all kind of had to raise your hand and show up when they called.
Mm-hmm.
Now that we're sitting October 1st, we know 3 events all the way to January 30th. 2 of them are international. It looks like we're going to have more events next year, at least 6, just based on all the other knowledge that we have, the deal with Fontainebleau.
I'm hoping so.
So for you, obviously, you had a very strong strength to schedule, in that first year, fighting something like, I think you fought 5 times, right? Between the show and everything, up to Power Slap 5, right? A guy like Dorian, I think, fought back-to-back at 3, 4, 5. There's a lot of guys, or I'm sorry, 1, 2, 3, 4. It was Dorian. There's a lot of guys who did stuff like that back then that you don't really see now. Where I'm going with this is, as you look at the potential for more events, would you say that you would like to increase your strength of schedule, given that there's more events, and compete on every event, or would you prefer to compete multiple times a year, but not necessarily back-to-back?
I think I would like more events. If we go every 2 months, something like that, every 2 months, every month and a half. Honestly, I think I was really enjoying, all the matches I got last year, and then this year kind of, I had an opportunity for a match and got sick. So, but I would definitely like more. I'd like them not so far in between, kind of like how they did, last year. But I would definitely wouldn't mind competing back to back. I want to go as much as I can go. So, I think most guys are going to give you that answer too. Now, if like Manny was saying earlier, someone like Chris, who's been knocked out the last 2 times, or somebody who has been knocked out a few times in the last however many matches, maybe they want to take a little bit more easy. But no, I think if your chin's holding up, get out, as many as you can.
And then final one for me. You talked a little bit about your outlook on season 3 and kind of going back to the house, being that you're already established. You've been up there quite a few times. Did you have a chip on your shoulder when they called you and said, hey, we want you to compete on the seat? Like, what was your outlook on it? Were you okay with it? Did you feel like it was a privilege? Were you kind of like, I kind of feel like this is a step down from what I should be doing?
I kind of asked him about that. But, the reason I really couldn't say no was because I got that call in April. A few weeks before the filming started. And I hadn't competed since the end of October, the year before. So, I was obviously texting Erica and Frank, and like, hey, come on, I need a match, or, I'm ready to go. And I just let them know multiple times I was ready to go. So when Erica called me, so it was basically kind of like a, hey, I know you really want to compete. We have an idea to bring in 4, I guess proven veterans, into this season. So would you be interested? So I've thought it over for a little bit, and I was like, man, I just want to compete. I don't know when the next card is going to be, or anything like that. So, I didn't really feel like it was a step down. Probably, I think more than anything, I just wanted to get back up there again.
Awesome, man. Well, thanks so much for joining us. Obviously, not a guy that we get to talk to too often.
I'll have to make more time for these Slap News interviews for sure.
Yeah, what about the fantastic form, my man? We can't let you go. What do you think of that rendition on Slap News?
Oh man, that wasn't bad at all. You guys did Ellen kind of dirty, but
who should have been? Because you were probably second in line, my man. You want to get on here and spout off? You probably would have been the next guy. All right. Should we have
Man,
done
like,
that instead?
you definitely could have made me I don't even know, a fire guy. I mean, that
Fire
would
guy?
really work. Ice cold
All
and
right.
Yeah, but
what up,
that
man?
doesn't help
Johnny Blaze.
Allen. Yeah, that doesn't help Allen though. We just thought Allen had Allen's doing these
You know, he's got the blonde hair
modeling
too, and
shows. Yeah, Allen's the
yeah.
prettiest. He's
Okay.
the prettiest. So we're like, it makes sense. And if I remember correctly, I'm not gonna blow up anybody's spot here, but if I remember correctly, this guy specifically said Allen should be the girl.
Hey, I'll definitely own up to that. Come on, man. Like Waylon Frost is looking slick in his outfit, dude. So
Yeah, it wasn't too bad at
Yeah,
all. Yeah, no, I thought
exactly.
that looked great.
That's all good. I mean, Alan, we've seen Alan doing his thing. See him out there working the runway. Told him he should have talked to me about some of his posing. He was a little bit off on some of his bodybuilding poses. So get him working on things. And yeah, I mean, you know, bringing the OGs back, I think adds a really unique twist. I think it actually gives a level of where do they stand? Because we always ask, where does Jane Seekman stand in the heavyweight division right now? You know, where does a guy, you know, especially when we see guys get, you know, 2 great victories, you know, on the show, you know, where do they stand against the current ranks? You know, we're probably gonna get a ranking update as soon as, you know, after next week when the series is up. And we'll have guys in there and we're like, do we know? Do we not know? And so I think it's a great opportunity, one, for these new guys, kind of give us a benchmark of where they're going to fit in the rankings, but it also gives some guys, you know, maybe like yourself, I don't want to say a last chance, but it gives you guys another opportunity to come in and get another fight. I know the pay's a lot better now. I mean, you probably got paid as much this time from that you did from probably the entire show plus Power Slap 1. So, you know, some of the extra stuff there and it kind of gives you guys another opportunity. A guy like Darius, I think probably much was a make or break. I mean, if Darius would have lost, I mean, I don't know how you really give him anything left in his career, but you know, he came back, he performed, and he gets another opportunity to continue on and fight another day. So I think it kind of works on both sides and really brings everything holistically. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, really, I mean, I think it can help kind of in the way that you're saying. I mean, but also, I mean, even if they just wanted to have all new guys, I think they just have to have more events, you know, so that more guys can get these opportunities. I mean, I've also seen like guys with not very many matches under their belt just kind of shoot up rankings, you know. Doesn't really make sense to me, but you know, we see these guys come in and have 2 matches and you know, they're competing for the belt. So we've seen guys coming off losses competing for a belt. We've, you know, or draws competing for a belt. So I don't know. I don't know if it's really helping the veterans in any way other than giving them more matches, I guess. I think we'd just really like to have more live events. Or just more matches on these events. Now, I mean, I understand maybe, you know, with Rumble they only have a certain amount of time, you know, or whatever. So I could see that, but I mean, there's tape prelims. I think we could get in more matches on the tape prelim. We usually have about 4, right? I think we could have 8 on there.
Yeah, we've previously talked about, you know, a Power Slap fight night. You know, maybe not a numbered event.
Yeah.
What did you think of that?
I mean, if the money is the same, if the opportunities are the same, I mean, it is what it is. Now, if you were going to have a fight night, I mean, you would really have to be having them. I'm not sure how well it would work realistically. You'd have to have a lot of guys on the roster. You have to have a really big roster because if you're doing a Power Slap fight night and you're doing it, you know, once a week or once every 2 weeks or something, like it's kind of in between the live events, you're gonna need a lot of guys. So maybe at one point, but right now I don't think it would happen.
What do you think is a healthy number of matches for a striker to have on a yearly basis? Because I mean, we talk about guys want to make money, do this as a career, and don't have the opportunities. But then we have on the other side, like, how much should you actually competing? Is it 3? Is it 4? Is it 6? Like, what do you think?
Are you saying by the year or over a career?
Yeah, like 12 years, like 12 months, calendar year. Like what do you think is that perfect number?
I mean, I would say 4 to 5 is probably going to be right. Now, that's also depending on that person. You know, I think Ron could probably go 12 times a year and not really feel affected. I think probably same for Darius. So it depends on you yourself, and then also who you're going against. I mean, I wouldn't I would hate to be a guy that has to go up against me, 6 times in 12 months, like,
Mhm.
so I think if you're going against guys who are, putting a hurting on you, then
Yeah. Gotcha, my man.
play it by year, I guess, maybe if you have a year where you're just kind of running through the competition, not really getting a whole lot of, damage taken, then keep going.
Yeah. Have you bought anything cool with your Power Slap earnings? You buy a quad or a camper or anything?
I bought a side-by-side.
Oh yeah. I remember
Yeah.
that because I asked you what a side-by-side was because I didn't
Did I
actually
send you
know.
a picture of it?
Yeah, I think you did. Yeah.
I think I sent you a picture of it, yeah.
You did.
So, I mean,
You did.
that's probably the coolest thing. Yeah, that's probably the coolest thing for sure.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Dang, do you even know what a side-by-side is?
Bro, I'm American. Of course I fucking know what
Let's go. Yeah, that was like the funniest thing too. And he's like, yeah, well, what do you mean? I was like, how do you not know what a side-by-side is? But
Well, dang,
it's
dang,
not
how
a
many
Canadian
side-by-side?
thing, huh?
How many side-by-sides roll down Bay Street in New York?
No, that I mean it's obviously it's less common here, but I was in the military. I was stationed all across the eastern seaboard, so
Yeah,
of course they have it. I actually saw a dog one time in one of them, fucking with the shades on and everything. It's crazy.
Oh,
Nice.
my dog hops in mine with me all the
Yeah,
time.
that shit's crazy. You guys are bananas. That's some southern shit if I ever seen it.
It's too much fun, man. Until you go out on one, don't knock it till you try it because they're a ton of fun.
100%, man. I'm definitely like I drove motocross when I was a kid, so I know all about.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but when he was a kid, it was fucking George H.W. Bush was fucking president.
Dude, it was 2 strokes, not 4, man. 4 strokes were just starting when I was a kid, dude. So I drove the old 2 strokes, man, the old dirty.
Hell yeah. You rode a
Best things
250
ever,
or
man.
what?
Yeah, CR 250, man. Yeah, that's exactly what I rode. The old Honda.
Hell yeah. That's yes, I got a CRF 250, yeah.
Okay.
Hell yeah, man. I didn't know you rode dirt bikes. That's cool.
Yeah, man. Loved it, dude. Trees didn't move, man. A lot more predictable than riding a bike on the road.
Yeah.
Loved it outdoors, man.
Trees didn't move. Hell yeah.
Exactly.
Huh.
Yeah. That was crazy, man. Actually, well, I drove more snow machines. I mean, because we had a longer season for the winter up in Canada, but in the summer, I love taking out the dirt bike for sure.
Yeah, I've never been on a snowmobile, but I've wanted to. I mean,
yeah. Tell you,
Yeah.
man, when you fall, it's a lot nicer, dude. It pads it.
yeah, I bet.
So, yeah.
Hell
All
yeah.
kinds of crazy stories, but that's for another podcast. We'll keep it online, obviously Power Slap related. Dang, anything else before we let the man go?
Dude, do you not see what the chief wrote? Waylon, can you see what he wrote? Does it show you?
Running curve. No, I do, yeah. Oh man, I really wish we would have got to see that one. It was cool that Kiefer got an opportunity or whatever. I mean, didn't really. I would have liked to see him get a shot to face Brandon. Because I know if he really wanted to rip his head off, so it would have been nice to actually see that go down. But fortunately, Brandon just couldn't contain himself. Yeah, that was another thing I think with maybe why I didn't enjoy this house like as much as the old ones was I feel like in season 1 we probably had more guys that were kind of like holy shit, like I have a great opportunity here to really like lock in and make a name for myself. And Dana told us, if you take this shit serious, you behave yourself like around the production team and everything, if you act right, then you can really change your life. Now, the first 2 nights, I mean, the second we walked into the house this time, they were fucking going nuts, it's just, and then just all night bullshit for the first few nights. So I think I was just kind of getting fed up with that. Like, man, we had a lot more shitheads in season 3 than we did in season 1 for sure. But towards the end, it kind of came around to everyone, kind of just realized that, the more we do this shit, the more hell this is going to be, So I think it finally calmed down at the end there. But yeah, Brandon just couldn't, he just couldn't compose himself, so kind of ruined a good match.
Yeah, everything seemed like chaos, man. Everybody's fighting and being holding each other down and getting in between, and you're just on the stairs, just fucking.
Yeah, I mean I think that was like day number 3 of it, just just nonstop. So at that point, I mean, there's a few of us up there just like, man, this shit's just getting old. Like, it makes it hell for everybody when you're just constantly fucking dealing with that shit,
Mm-hmm. I hear, my man. One last one, Waylon. Did he do it?
Yeah. I mean,
come on, man. We need a white boy from Colorado or wherever you're from to answer this.
Oh man, I mean, I'm no fucking.
You're no Diddy expert?
Diddy expert, but I mean, he's from Hollywood, man. I mean, I don't trust any of those motherfuckers. So it's a dirty, dirty industry, man. So I mean, it wouldn't surprise me a bit.
All right, my man. Your opinion is the only one that matters here. So I appreciate you joining me.
Just kidding. Right on, brother. Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. It was good, and yeah, I'll have to make more time to do some more of these with you.
Sounds good, man. Take care. Hopefully we see you back up there in December.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right. There we go, dang. Waylon Frost. We don't get to see him too often. Good to get him back here. Too bad we didn't get to see him on the show. OG veteran. I mean, can't quite call him a senior citizen yet, but he's a senior citizen in Power Slap. I guess we'll call him that. Was one of the early guys that adopted the rollout. Was able to be victorious in a couple of those matchups. And yeah, kicking around. And hopefully we see him back up there soon. I tell you, man, these guys in the middle part of the U.S., Wolverine, Waylon Frost, Abu Dhabi doesn't appeal to them. Did they skip that in geography class in the U.S. about the Middle East? They didn't learn because we seem to get that whole sliver of guys wanting nothing to do with going overseas.
I mean, the Middle East is in fucking shambles right now, bro. I know obviously Abu Dhabi's not a part of that, but it's still like, it freaks you out, man. You know, traveling into that region and all the stuff that, I mean, these dudes just woke up this morning and Iran was fucking shooting missiles across the sky into Israel. Like, it's just, I don't know. I get it. It's and not to mention the time difference, right? We were talking about this earlier off camera. It's for those of you who don't know that this is the time change. It's 12 p.m. on the East Coast, 9 a.m. on the West Coast, and I think 8 p.m. or something around that to, you know, for people local in Abu Dhabi. It's quite a big time difference. I mean, people like we've got our team is obviously is located all over the place. Like, you know, some of our guys are going to be waking up at 9 a.m. like having to run and gun to support, you know, obviously our participation in the event. Obviously, we'll have some guys who are on the ground there in Abu Dhabi. So it's a pretty big undertaking. And I think as an athlete, you got to worry about the jet lag. How am I going to feel? You don't know, and you haven't been through any of this. So you don't know the hotel. You don't know what the internet's going to be like. You know, are these guys going to be able to bring their family members with them? Like their families ain't paying to go to Abu Dhabi. So it's like they can't even come watch them. So who are they performing in front of? All people they don't know. Like, so it's just uncomfortable. Small town people, I can understand why a guy like Wolverine or Bryce Jones would be like, no, fuck that. I mean, I'd rather just go to Vegas. You know, my family can come out here. We can make a vacation of it. But Abu Dhabi, number one, is expensive. Number two, it's a long flight. Number three, it's a time difference. Like, there's so many just factors that's like, fuck, dude, this is painful, you know? Like, Cody Cox doesn't care because he's fucking he's in front of inmates all day. He's uncomfortable for a living. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah, so, I get it. If you're from a smaller town or a place that's comfortable to you.
100%. I mean, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I guess when you live in the greatest country in the world, why do you have to go anywhere else? I guess that's the mentality you have. So, what's up?
I guess Bryce Jones is fucking sick of hearing whatever he's heard about James Stonier.
Interesting. Okay. What's the backstory about that? Billy James.
They fought, and James is not happy about what happened. And I don't know what parts of that it is or what. That's why we were expecting him to come on today to tell us. But again, like I said, more than likely, we'll hear from him next Tuesday or Wednesday. But I'm surprised. It seems like now these guys aren't, exactly going to be exchanging Christmas gifts.
Gotcha, my man.
So I misspoke. Bryce would go to Abu Dhabi, but Wolverine would not.
Oh, yeah,
he would prefer not to.
Cool, my man. Well, let's wrap it up. We're back tomorrow, the final slap, following the latest episode of Road to the Title 3. We're going to break it down. Going to talk to some of the winners. Going to have some special guests on that show as well. Ding, we going live on IG?
Yeah, we'll be live on IG in just 2 minutes. We'll be talking about Icon Battlegrounds, the event. It's a multi-sport event, jiu-jitsu, pillow fighting, slap fighting, and some strength competitions. We anticipate arm wrestling potentially, and a couple other things that we don't know just yet, and maybe we'll get some of those answers. We expect Colton Cole to be on the live also, who's going to talk a little bit about the matchmaking, some of the athletes we can expect to see on the event. So head on over to our IG, share that for us, let people know. because as I've mentioned, some of these guys that you see at Icon Battlegrounds on November 9th could potentially be faces that you see as time goes on in Power Slap. They'll talk about general admission tickets, which I believe are for sale already somewhere at the price point of $45. They'll talk about how to watch it if you're streaming, what platforms they have lined up. They'll give us some updates. And then, of course, if you guys have questions, jump in there, drop your questions. We'll get those answered by either Colin or Charles Johnson.
All right, my man. We'll see you tomorrow. Take care, my dude.